Hi there. So today I'm going to give you some really hard truth. And a lot of people won't want to hear this, and that's okay. I want to disclaim before I get started that I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't care how you vote. I'm not political at all. I have been and am and will be, as long as I'm here on planet Earth, 100% invested in understanding how to build intentions using energy, imagination, and the rules of the universe, which include a lot of different things, from mental mastery to emotional management to energy work and frequency work like radionics. So I want to be clear that some of the things I'm going to say initially, because the way I'm going to end it is going to be the how to change it. But initially, some of the things I'm going to say might trigger you. And so I want to ask you to really tune in to my true intention and your true desire to make the changes that you know are possible. In other words, don't shoot the messenger, but hear the message. And if there's any trigger to it, just put it aside. I'm not here to bash anything or anybody or any entity, but you have to see what's going on so that you can correct it. Okay, so remember when the movie The Secret came out, and it was a worldwide epidemic, right? It was like, yes, I can, law of attraction, I can create my own reality. This is fabulous. And there were a lot of people, and I don't mean a lot like per capita, but there were people who healed cancer, who became multimillionaires, who, did all sorts of really, really amazing things, and it got lots of attention. And so everyone tried to make it happen. And a lot of people couldn't make it happen. And so then it was kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's a part of you that was like, I know there's something to this. So the flaw must be with me. Okay, so let's put that aside. What if I told you that there are groups, there are secret societies? Skull and Bones is a classic one, and I've spoken about this in my book, one of my books. The Skull and Bones, I think it's out of Yale. Literally, all but 2 presidents of the United States have been members of that. So they groom political leaders. That's what they do, and they use these laws of the universe. The other one is the Brotherhood, and they're all focused on wealth. That's the Kevin Trudeau's. He's like big in that. And then, you have the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians and, all of these ancient and secret societies that are not mainstream. You can't like go on the internet and do a Google search. How do I join the Brotherhood? Not like that. And so they know these secrets, and they like to keep it where they know these secrets. And so at first blush, you might say, well, when the movie, if you're right, Tamara, and the powers that be don't want the average human to understand how all this works, then when the movie The Secret came out, you'd think that they shut it down. Well, first of all, The Secret was self-produced. It was a DVD. Second of all, we're going to touch on this, but it didn't have the outcome that people would assume that it would. Okay. Now keep in mind, no matter what you think, and I don't care again, like how you vote, you may think if you're in the US like I am, that the president of the United States, it's like, oh, really good or really bad. It doesn't matter. The United States is owned and operated by several families. That's it. How you vote doesn't really matter. Sorry. But let's go back to this, the whole idea with The Secret. The reason that they didn't worry about it is because they have, I guess if this was medicine, we would call it an anti-venom. Because there's only 2 things that it takes to use the law of the universe. Now, keep in mind that as technology and the internet and social media has grown and grown and grown, information is more available. And over the last 2 decades, quantum science has entered the room, and proven and shown and demonstrated so many things that validate metaphysical principles, the laws of the universe. And because the internet's so big, more and more people, both from spirituality, not both, but from spirituality, from metaphysics, and from science, are all like, wait a minute, this is how this works. But if there's a group of people or an entity that doesn't want us to be able to use that, first of all, why would they not want us to use it? Because then we wouldn't need it, right? That's just a no-brainer. So in other words, it's profitable for certain entities to have us broke, sick, scared, in debt, distracted. So now let's go back to what I said. What are the two things required? The two main things. There are a lot of processes to the law of attraction, which I really don't even like that language anymore. And even manifestation has gotten so diluted. But what I would call it is working with invisible universal forces to create physical material changes, whether it's physical things like my pin or situations like my vacation or whatever. Okay? The two things are you ready? Are focus and frequency. Focus and frequency. And let's just really quickly unpack what those are. And then we're going to look at how those are being taken away from you. Number one, focus is your ability to concentrate. Now, your ability to concentrate requires that you are whole brain thinking, not just in your linear left brain, high beta brainwave, which is the third dimension, which is what we're all doing on this specific planet. You have to be able to disconnect from that so that you can operate from a right brain hemisphere, so that you can tap into your imagination, so that you can enter the alpha brainwave and seek higher truths. Whatever you want to call that. I call it the superconscious connection. So what would anybody who doesn't want you to be able to do that, what would they do? They can't keep it a secret because it's all over the internet now. There's movies. I mean, I was just in a movie that'll be out, I think, this fall, called The Frequency of Miracles, if you want to look it up. But everyone knows this content. So if there's an entity or entities that don't want you to be able to manifest or create your intentions, what are they going to do? Well, they know these two things, focus and frequency. So how can they take your focus away? How about social media? What a distraction that is. How about Facebook and Instagram and all these things that will keep you distracted? What about the media, news that installs fear? What about pharmaceuticals that medically documented cause more harm than good? What about poisons in our food, hormones, GMO? What about fluoride in our water? Calcifies the pineal gland. What about chemtrails? So the very air that we breathe. All of these things are affecting our ability to focus. The news, it all is intentional in some way. Now, I'm all about balance, the Buddha, the Taoism, the yin and the yang. So like, for example, something that's really good is social media, because I get to talk to my two daughters every day. Like every day, we practically have coffee together. I couldn't do that without Facebook. But it's also very distracting. Okay? It steals my focus if I let it. I have clients who tell me that they sleep with their phone and then they get up and they're scrolling Instagram first thing. That's stealing your focus. Focus is number one. Okay? Number two is frequency. What is your frequency? Your frequency is your emotional. It's biochemical. It's your ability to cultivate the happy hormones and get rid of the stress hormones. And let me tell you, those stress hormones, the ones that you get when you go online and you see that there was just a school shooting, or this country just got bombed, or oh my God, this happened, or there's this new virus and we're all going to die. Those are all fear tactics. And not only do they distract you, but they affect your frequency. So see, frequency and focus are like two cousins. So what I say about one is going to affect the other. Like if you eat a bunch of poison food, plastic food, it's not only going to affect your focus, it's also going to affect your frequency, right? Because your frequency has something to do with your body. Your body is your antenna. It's your transmitter and your receiver. No matter how you cut it, it's your subconscious mind is in your body. Okay. And your biofield goes outside of your body, but it's very much through your chakras related to your body. Okay. Hope I'm not losing you here. So some of the other ways that, you know, it's the bad news. It's the fear, it's the getting you in debt, the pharmaceuticals, all of these things are in part designed to keep you from mastering your focus and your frequency. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't care if somebody votes for that versus this versus this versus that. What I'm telling you is if you're spending your time getting mad about what this group is doing and what that group is saying, you're letting it affect your frequency. And if you're scrolling, you're letting it affect your focus. The first thing I want to say, and this is, I tell all my clients this, and it's just like fundamental to my coaching, is that you have to have a foundation of whole brain thinking. Because when you are not focused, and I can tell you you're not focused if you don't have what you want in your life. Because if you want, let's say you want, I'm not going to, sometimes I'm working with more and more people that aren't even in real estate, but I have a lot of realtors that follow me too. So let's just say you sell life insurance and you're not making the money you want to make selling life insurance. It's probably because you're more focused on the fear of not selling life insurance, on the lack of money in your bank account, on all the bad news. Okay. So I can tell you if you don't have what you want or you're not close to getting it, then you probably have an issue with focus. So one of the best ways, and this is what I tell my clients, so I'm giving this to you, free of charge to help you, is to find a way to create whole brain thinking. And you can do it as simply as drawing, you're getting into your right hemisphere. But I like to do, and what I feel like I'm kind of well known for, and at least 15 of my books, is called meta creation. So you use headphones, noise canceling headphones, and you use binaural beats. And what that does is a tone comes from your left side, a tone comes from your right side, even though I got those mixed up. And then it causes a tone in the middle that cancels each other out, but it actually creates a new tone. That's binaural beats. It absolutely will help you get to whole brain thinking. Whole brain thinking is like, I recently heard someone who is a part of the Brotherhood say that is like the first lesson they teach you is you've got to master whole brain thinking. And this is something that the Monroe Institute knew. And to go, if you think I'm being sinister about all the secret societies, Monroe Institute was very, very active in different CIA remote viewing programs, the Stargate, the paperclip, all of these, once classified, some are still classified. The military and government, like I said, they know all this stuff. They know all this stuff. And the only way to keep it from mass domination population in the world is to not make it, readily known and available. But I'm telling you, left and right brain hemisphere synchronization is very, very key. So that's one thing to help your focus. If you are in this world and you are reacting, you are not in an alpha brainwave. That's a beta brainwave, and mostly it's a high beta. That's not what we want. We want to be able to be in beta when we're working, and we want to be able to be in alpha when we're imagining and working in our mental sphere. So that's the tip for focus. Get some noise canceling headphones and get some binaural beats and start doing that every day. Just listen. You don't even have to metacreate or visualize it. It will help. But the whole idea is we've got to train our brain. Secondly, breathing is a bridge. In my experience, in my opinion, in my own breakthroughs, breathing is the bridge. I used to be the worst breather in the world. And I've been sleeping with mouth tape on my mouth probably for the last 2 years. Makes a huge difference because I was a mouth breather. They say bad things about mouth breathers, but what we know from science is that people who breathe through their mouths live about 6 years less than their counterparts. That's all I needed to order some mouth tape. But breathing is way beyond how you sleep. Breath work, and I recommend Dan Brule, who is the world-renowned breathwork person. And what I love about him is he'll talk about Wim Hof, he'll talk about holotropic breathing. Like, he knows all the breath work. So that makes him the epitome and the master because he studies all the other masters. And of course, he has his own technique. And, you know, I'm one of his students. I'm a big fan. So he has a book. You can get it. You can listen to it. You can practice it. He has programs, whatever. But breath work, the more you hate it, the more you need it. And what breath work will do is it will help with this left-right brain thing. Okay. So that is focus. Frequency. Frequency is how you feel. And if you really want to be able to master manifestation, you have to be in charge. You have to have mental mastery and emotional management. And the two things that I see that stop people the most from achieving that is reactivity and resistance. You know, and that's what my coaching business is. That's what I help people do. I cannot give you an easy answer for that one, but I can tell you that to quit looking at things on social media that give you a reaction to finding out what the reaction is caused from, which really is coaching or therapy. But I will do, if I haven't done a recent video on triggers, I will talk more about that because we've really got to collapse those emotions. Being reactive, you can't have a high frequency and manifest millions if you're just reacting all the time. Not possible. And this is as much biology as it is metaphysical, because we know that the brain cannot produce cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones, at the same time as serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. You know, it can't happen. It's the same amygdala doing the same releasing of chemicals, right? So you, in order to have a high frequency, you absolutely have to address your mindset and energy work. You know, energy work, a lot of people will say, oh, okay, can you do a radionic session on me? Or can you do or for mindset, can you do a hypnotherapy session on me? Yeah, but you have to do the work too, right? Radionics or energy work or my pendulum or my scanners, all these things that I do, sure, that will help. But you also have to do the work and you have to get the triggers out of your body, and that's a whole nother process. It's why every Friday in my coaching program, whoever I coach with, even if it's one-on-ones, if you're in my coaching program for that week, even 1 week, I'm going to send you my Friday link for my YouTube Live where we get stuff out because you have to get it out. If you've got trauma or stress, it's blocking your energy, which is blocking your frequency. Okay, so this has been a long video, longer than I thought it was going to be. But I just really, really want to point out that most everyone right now has a dysregulated nervous system, and a dysregulated nervous system is going to make it impossible for you to apply the absolute 2 secrets that are not secrets, focus and frequency, of learning to operate in an energetic realm where you can work with universal principles and quantum science principles to create changes in the physical reality that you choose to live in. Okay? A lot of it's perception, a lot of it's mind shift stuff, but underneath all of it, focus and frequency. So hopefully you found this interesting. I'm going to put a link below where if you want to have a chat with me, and I've really got to limit it. I've had a lot of people wanting to have a chat, and they go on for half hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 20 minutes. And I really can't do that because I have clients who pay me that I need to serve. But it's not just in the name of getting more clients. If there's something that I can help you with and I can do it in 15 minutes, I will. But just understand that it's going to be 15 minutes and I'll have to cut you off if it goes any further. So there's no obligation. It's not like if I get on a Zoom call with you or a telephone call with you, I'm going to say, okay, well, that's $300, please. That's a totally optional thing. That's not what this is about. This is about me giving more service than I get in exchange, because I always have what I need. I always have what I need. It's an abundant universe. Okay. So look at the link below. I also have some other stuff below, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.